how streaming numbers compare to movie sales, movie tickets, right? The moving of the movies through the theaters, I guess.
Mm.
And when all of these numbers, I wanted to look at complete years. So although we are almost done with the year of 2024, we are going to look at the year of 2023's numbers, okay? There was some big successes in both streaming and theaters last year, right? You had the Barbenheimer thing last year and all that. So we're going to look at a relatively successful post-COVID theater year as well as a successful post-COVID streamer year, 2023, okay? So let's go through this. Started with Disney. I wanted to do an apples to apples kind of thing. Disney Plus, so the streaming service, generated $8.4 billion in revenue in 2023, okay? Disney made $4.8 billion in theaters globally in 2023. So if you look at that number, Disney Plus generated the company Disney almost twice as much as their theatrical box office, right? Which in some ways is very interesting. As I kind of said before earlier in the podcast, when DVDs and VHS and Blu-rays, although they still exist, have kind of died as an industry, they don't earn money the way that they used to. The Hollywood industry has to counteract that loss. And the way to do that is to get subscriptions for your content, Disney Plus, right? And so the question is, do you think that has it always been a part of the industry for people like Disney or companies like Disney to make close to twice the amount of money a year from like VHS or DVD sales, like hard copy sales, as what they made during theaters for an entire year, right? Globally. Do you think that's common for that to be higher earning than theatrical runs?
Probably, but also like the first thing that comes to my mind when we're thinking like streaming revenue and theater revenue.
Okay.
And I don't know where you got these numbers specifically and what
multiple sources, and I cross-referenced them with multiple websites, so they're correct.
Where what this entails, because like, you know, some people get back end money, like actors and people get back end money from theater releases and stuff, but they're not getting back end from streaming money. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So do they have to shell out more money
this
for
is what
theater
they
releases
earned.
or for
This is gross earnings.
on the platform? They basically get all the money for that because
this is gross earnings though. So both with theater and with the Disney Plus, this is gross. So obviously this money is going to be put towards either paying royalties or paying, you know, for new projects. Obviously this money is going to be used. This isn't net profit. This is gross earnings. All right. And I'm just saying that the gross earning of Disney Plus is almost double what the entire theatrical global run was for 2023 for Disney.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is the next two numbers. So Warner Bros., as we saw, Warner Bros. Was the very first movie to put sound in movies, all right? So they're an old company. They've been around for almost, I guess, maybe more, maybe 100 years, I guess, at this point. And globally, last year, Warner Bros. Earned $1.4 billion in theaters, so they didn't earn as much as Disney. And the only streaming service that Warner Brothers has that they primarily use is Max, previously known as HBO Max, all right? That is the Warner Brothers streaming service. And Max or HBO Max for 2023 only earned $449 million. So it is
Yeah.
less than half of what their theatrical
It's like
earnings
a
were.
third, 1/3 of it.
And it all comes down to how many people are willing to subscribe to your platform, right? I
Mhm.
think that Max has probably moved the needle in a big way in 2024.
Oh, yeah.
I think they've probably gotten a lot more subscriptions, especially with Disney being so rough, all right now, and Disney relying on their catalog of old content
Mhm.
to make the sale.
Yeah,
Whereas Max is actually creating really good new stuff that people are interested in.
and they also, I don't know if this might have been 2022, I don't remember, but they made a big push of going from HBO Max to Max.
Yeah.
They changed their platform to just be Max over HBO Max, and
Well, part of that is because they're also putting reality shows. They combined
yeah,
like Discovery, Warner Bros.
yeah.
Discovery is also a part of it. They didn't want to be labeled as HBO because HBO has that adult television
Well, I know, but
label
I'm
to it.
just
You
saying,
know what I mean?
yeah, but that's a big, jump to kind of be like, "We're making moves. We're
Yeah.
doing more with this platform to
It
make it
became
an all-around platform."
Max at the end of 2023, I believe, is when it became Max. So,
Only?
yeah,
That was a
because
little
we
weird. Only?
only maybe summer of 2023 is when it shifted. But yeah, so HBO or Max is still growing in popularity and has always been kind of seen since they started the streaming service, which is primarily for TV shows and stuff, but it
Yes.
was more HBO branded, which means it was adult branded, which is why it has a lower subscription model, because it has to build up its reputation that families can watch this. It's not just all adult shows, right? And when I say adult shows, I'm just meaning mature shows, right? Now, this is a really crazy statistic, okay? This is probably going to blow your mind.
So, May 23rd, 2023,
So I was right, sort of the
HBO
summer.
Max was rebranded to Max.
So I was right, the summer of 2023, right?
May. That's a little
Yeah,
bit
the
before the
summer, the
summer.
summer. They
Sure.
were making the shift during the summer. That's my memory served me correctly. All right. This is a pretty crazy statistic. Now, we've talked about how Netflix, because they were the first to everything when it came to streaming,
Yeah.
they are by far the kings of money when it comes
Mhm.
to subscribers. They have double Disney Plus, all right?
Okay.
And they have a much larger global audience, all right? And they also, I think, are a bit more pricey at this point because they've risen their prices a little bit. So, in 2023, Netflix earned globally, mind you, so this is every Netflix in every country,
Mhm.
$33.72 billion.
Mhm.
The entire global box office for every movie in theaters for 2023 was $33.9 billion.
Mhm.
So Netflix just getting money through people subscribed to their platform, paying monthly for access to their catalog, all right,
Yeah.
makes the equivalent of the entire global theatrical run of every single movie.
Yeah.
And why I compare these two is because almost every entertainment studio in Hollywood had theater movies in 2023, right? Warner
Mhm.
Brothers, Disney, Paramount, Universal, everybody. And they all have their own outlet for streaming services, okay? But Netflix did not have one theatrical release in 2023. Everything on Netflix up to this point
Went straight
is
to Netflix.
internal, straight to streaming. And Netflix, as a company, a standalone company, made the same amount as the entire global theatrical run for all of the studios combined.
I mean, it definitely these numbers definitely make sense, and that's why people like Jeff Bezos is wanting to release the um I just lost Jake Gyllenhaal. He's a bouncer. What is that movie? What
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. They begged him to put it in theaters, and he said, "No, we're going straight to platform, and that's how we're doing it." He's seeing the numbers, and he knows that that's how they have to do it to get their platform to make that much money.
Right.
But
looking at all of these
that's
numbers,
crazy because
yeah,
I have not watched, and I'm not lying about this. I'm trying to think the last thing that I watched on Netflix. Okay, no, I peeked at Joe Rogan's special that came out. But besides the Joe Rogan special, it has been probably over a year, two since I've been on Netflix.
You just don't watch stuff on Netflix.
I do not watch Netflix. I'll watch Max, and I like Max. I think Max is a better app. It's easier to find things.
Well, they have more movies over.
They have
on
more
Max,
movies,
right?
but also the shows. I like the shows that are on there too. And
Well,
it's
also think about this. Think about this. Max has the traditional movies. All right.
yeah.
So if a movie was in theaters, it's going to show up on places like Paramount, Max, and Disney Plus, right?
Yeah.
Or Peacock. All of the movies on Netflix, not all of them, because they still do contracts where they have stuff on their platform that's not Netflix originals. But most of the time, the really big theater movies that we're doing trailer reactions to, all of that, you know what I mean? That was all theater movies that went to streaming, and most of the time those do not end up on Netflix. All of the movies on Netflix, or at least a majority of them, are the Netflix original films, which they dropped a trailer on their YouTube channel, but there wasn't, and social media and everything, but there wasn't any big theatrical marketing push like a lot of the movies do. So when you say you prefer Max, I think it's because it's where a lot of the movies are that you're expecting and seeing trailers for and seeing the marketing campaign for and the theater run for, whereas Netflix doesn't have all that. They just drop it on their platform. You know what I mean?
And it's I know there's stuff on there that's exclusively on these platforms, but like, where's Peacock? Where's Apple TV? They've got good stuff on there, but like nobody's even talking about it.
Peacock is Universal's, so that's why. That's why. Like I think all of the DreamWorks stuff goes to Peacock, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well as, The Office, all of those really popular shows that came out of the Universal Studios.
The only
thing that's why they're on Peacock now.
I definitely have not watched anything on Peacock since probably the last Psych movie that came out on there. But the only thing I miss, and I wish they didn't only have it on Peacock, would be Parks and Rec, because that was a fun bingeable show that was like The Office that I enjoyed. That was like, just put it on in the background.
You're just gonna have to pay for all of them, man.
Nah.
You're just gonna have to pay for all of them.
I will not be a slave to the system.
It just replaced all these streaming services. Just replaced cable, because by the time you pay for all of them, you're spending about $60 to $70 for all of them combined, which is the same cost as like cable, back in the day. Or I
Yeah,
guess
that is
still
true.
today, people still have cable, but it just replaced cable if you have access to all of them. So all of this is to show that even from last year, as we are coming to the end of another year, last year, the numbers of streaming are outweighing or in direct competition to theatrical films, right?
Mhm.
So there is still big business
In
with
theaters?
streaming. Streaming should not kill the industry. As much as all of the articles, so many different um, places are like, oh, COVID is disrupting everything. You know, it disrupted the
Mhm.
theater experience. Yes, it did, but it did not disrupt Hollywood because Netflix is better than ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely I have to question theater releases though, because like even when and I know it had some controversy around it, but like we went and watched Folie à Deux and we watched it on like opening weekend, pretty
Mhm.
new. So the negative hype around the movie was not really out yet when we went and watched it, but there was
That
probably
second week.
well, I know, but I'm saying when we went and saw it, I'm trying to bring up there was
Okay.
only like I think 10 people in the theater with us. Like there was
Really?
probably yeah, us and like two other couples
For
that
opening weekend.
for opening weekend. And we went to a later showing because we had to go when MJ got off work, but it
Mhm.
still was like a Saturday at like 9 o'clock. There should
Right.
be people there wanting to watch movies at the theater, and we got 10 people in there,
Yeah.
maybe, if
But
that.
people's preference is to, and also people are turning their living room into dang theaters these days,
Oh
you
yeah.
know? I just heard that the 70-inch is out of style and the 90-inch is the new thing.
She
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like a 90-inch is a dang wall. It's bigger than the wall in front of me.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of, we're getting theaters at home, right? And
Oh
so of
yeah.
course people are like, why would I go to the movie theater? I don't want to sit next to, you know, the overweight smelly guy who's eating his popcorn too loud when I can have basically the same experience right here in my living room, you know?
Yeah. I
And
mean,
for
I
Netflix, that's great because they go straight to streaming and people, as long as they keep putting out content that doesn't completely frustrate the audience, they're not going to cancel their subscription and they're just going to keep that ball money train rolling. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, whereas Disney does not quite know how to operate, I
Mhm.
guess, on $8.4 billion, right?
Yeah.
In streaming. They are wanting to look more like the $33 billion in streaming, but you're like 100,000, you're like 100 million subscribers less than Netflix, like Disney Plus is, right? They have a lot of catching up to do, and people are not fully invested in Disney Plus, whereas they have been because they're more legacy with Netflix. So I'm just saying the new playbook, right?
Mhm.
Getting back to like the title, the new business playbook is 100% streaming. This is no uh secret. The problem is looking at the numbers. The numbers work. The numbers are good. Hollywood can
Numbers
live
good.
off of the streaming numbers. Netflix is proving it. And Max in some way is also proving it just on a smaller
Mhm.
scale. The problem is Disney is struggling because they're bloated and there's all of this screaming about the theaters are going away, the theaters don't make money, the theaters are going to destroy the industry, and it's like, stop. They're not. The industry is pivoting and there are growing pains. And
Mhm.
theaters are at large scale are not necessarily a part of that future like they have been since the 20s as we went through the timeline. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't mean the industry's going away. The entertainment
No.
business has plenty of money. You just need to be creating the right stuff. Netflix is proving that. And Max is proving that with how much positive press they've gotten, Warner Brothers, in their like their shows recently, you know, with House of the Dragon, with the new Penguin show. They're getting a lot of love right now because they're doing
Yeah.
things right. And so I think it's just a lot of propaganda to say like if theaters die, Hollywood dies. That's just not true.
No,
It's just
definitely
not
not.
true. Maybe Disney might struggle. Like Disney's going to downsize a lot, right? If they don't figure something out. But it's just Disney. There's a lot of other aspects to this that work.